The bourbon boom continues, so let's hope 2023 is going to be a fantastic year for whiskey releases. Here's my top 5 most anticipated bottles. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Hutch. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey through the world of whiskey. So if the audio sounds a little bit off, sorry I'm not wearing a mic. It actually broke on me right before filming this. The show must go on though. I'm going to try to fix it in post if I can, but might sound a little bit different. In any case, 2022 was a fantastic year for bourbon and whiskey in general. There were lots of great releases. For me, it was my first year fully diving into the world and doing the channel and reviewing things for you guys. And it was so much fun. 2023, by all standards, probably should be an even better year. There continues to be more great whiskey put out on shelves and lots of different options. But I wanted to narrow it down for you guys, show you what I'm really focusing on trying to get in 2023. As somebody who has a good mix of bottles but certainly doesn't get everything, these are a mix of hopefully going to be pretty widely available or accessible to most people, all the way up to sort of stretch goals for me to try to get some new bottles and add some hopefully really fantastic and somewhat rare bottles to the hutch. So let's get into the list. Just before we do that, I do want to say thanks for all the support in 2022. Hopefully this ride in 2023 is going to be awesome. Would love to have you guys subscribed so that you can join me for all of these potential reviews and bottles that we're going to be looking for in 2023. And if you don't mind hitting the like button too, it really helps the algorithm and gets the word out about the channel and about hopefully some great whiskey in 2023. All right, let's get into the full list. Before we get to the top 5, I've actually got 3 honorable mentions that I wanted to run through with you guys so that you're a little bit more aware of them in 2023. First of those is a 3 times a year release you're probably familiar with, and that is Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. So basically, any Elijah Craig Barrel Proof batch you can get your hands on for 70 to 90, maybe even $100 depending on how good the batch is and the reviews. You know, it's pretty much always worth it. It's a 12-year-old non-chill filtered whiskey and fantastic stuff from Heaven Hill. There's an A, B, and C batch as well, so keep an eye out throughout the year as they release those 3 batches. Then second on this honorable mention side of things is an up-and-coming distillery that I basically loved everything they do. There's a little bit more limited product that's great to keep your eye out for, and that is Chattanooga Bottled in Bond. So I've got the spring 2017 release. It's really good. It's really unique. I think it'll be like a 2019 that you'll start seeing on here at this point in 2023 for them to release. It's usually about 4 years old. But all of these are super unique and bring some interesting flavors to the mix. This one's got like an interesting cranberry tartness, really nice. All right, last on this honorable mention side is a producer that does some fantastic blends. Their last 2 releases in the last 2 years have been awesome, and that is Barrel. So we've got the Seagrass Rye and Barrel Vantage. Both, Seagrass was in 2021, Barrel Vantage was 2022, and both are fantastic whiskeys. These are usually in that $80 to $90 range from Barrel, so on the more expensive side, but whatever they end up releasing this year, whatever new staple they add to the mix, I'm probably going to get a bottle and review it for you guys because I think it's worth it at this point. They've shown me they can do great stuff. All right, those are the honorable mentions. I'll get these off the table now and we can start the top 5. Okay, so first on the top 5 is actually another 3 times a year release from Heaven Hill. But if you ask me for the money, this has been better even than Elijah Craig, and that is Larceny Barrel Proof. So this is the C922 batch, which actually ended up winning my Whiskey of the Year for 2022. It's that good. And I'm particularly excited about, 2023. I think Larceny Barrel Proof has absolutely hit its stride. It's fantastic whiskey. It's usually more in that $60 to $80 range, so a little bit less expensive than the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. It is about 6 to 8 years old, so younger. It's a wheated product, but man, it's just so good. I'm particularly looking forward to the A batch. I've never had any of the A batch stuff, and this year it's going to be A123, so 123. I think that's kind of cool, and just looking to add that to the repertoire and the collection. All right, number 2 here is from a distillery that is finally going to be releasing some of their own stuff. They've been holding it back until it gets to about 6 years old, and that is Bardstown Bourbon Company. So I'm putting the bottle up here because this is Discovery Series number 8. This is actually sourced whiskey, but they're going to be releasing what they're calling their Origin Series. It's going to be a lineup of a wheated bourbon, a rye, and a high rye bourbon. So they're releasing their own stuff. I think it's going to be around 6 years old, and I'm just super eager to see what their own distillate tastes like. From all that I can tell, they release quality stuff, and they have a high standard of excellence, so I'm sure it will be great. And I think this is an earlier release, going to be in the January, February, that maybe we'll start seeing this at the distillery, and then later, hopefully hitting lots of shelves around the country. I think long term, this is going to be one that's a little bit more widely available. Pricing on these is going to be, I think for the bourbons, the wheated and the high rye, they're going to be around $50, and the rye itself is going to be around $70. So we're seeing that. That's kind of a normal price point for those types of things in the whiskey world. I wish, the rye wasn't quite $70. That's a little bit high, but rye is the more expensive grain, so it makes sense in today's whiskey market. But I'm super excited to see what Bardstown has to offer from their own stills. All right, third on this list is a little bit bittersweet perhaps, but it's a fantastic annual release, and that is the Maker's Mark Wood Finishing Series. So this year I'll probably put the label or cutaway to it somewhere up here, but it's going to be called BEP, which is Barrel Entry Proof, showing off that Maker's Mark has a lower barrel entry proof, and that often is supposed to contribute to higher flavor and, not losing as much flavor. So, you know what? I'm excited. I've had fantastic experiences with the last 2 years worth of Maker's Mark Wood Finishing Series releases. These are usually more widely available. Some hunting will have to be done to find them in certain areas, but for the most part, if you do some looking, you'll be able to find one of these batches. The bittersweet part is that, from what I can tell on the website and from digging around to find the label, this might be the last batch or the last release of the Wood Finishing Series. I know that Denny Potter and Jane Bowie left Maker's Mark, and I think Jane in particular was sort of like in charge of the Wood Finishing Series, so that might be the reason it's potentially ending. I don't want to super over confirm that. They might shift to something else, but if it is indeed the last release of this, I definitely want to get one and put it on my shelves, and it deserves to make it on this list, even just for the quality of whiskey. But if it truly is the last one, then I'm certainly going to be looking extra hard. Fourth bottle on this list is one that I actually don't have anything to really put on the table, and one that I don't have a previous reference point for. This is going to be more of a stretch goal for me, and that is Midwinters Night's Dram Act 11. So there was a lot of hoopla this year about Midwinters being released as both Act 10, and they released a second one, the Encore batch. I didn't see any of it. I am hoping that come this wintertime later in the year, I will be able to see some or hunt some down, and it's going to be sort of a stretch goal for me, one of those bottles that I'm looking to really add value to my collection and sort of up the rare character and quality of it. Midwinters is now, I think, $150, so this is a, upper echelon, more expensive type of rye. It's usually a rye, I believe, so I'm super excited to look for it and hopefully review it for you guys around Christmas time and let you know my thoughts. I'm also a big fan of literature and Shakespeare, so having something with that sort of theme is going to be really, really cool. All right, last but not least here, we have on our list a bottle that's a little bit less confirmed than the others. I haven't seen any official news about this yet, but I'm making an informed guess based on how old this distillery's whiskey is now and how they've released it in the past, and that is an 8-year-old product from New Riff. So I've got the 6-year malted rye here, which is fantastic, by the way, really, really good stuff. But this was released 2 years ago now. I am anticipating that in 2023 there will be an 8-year-old either bourbon or rye from New Riff. Everything they do that I've tasted, I've really, really enjoyed. I am super excited to see what an older product from New Riff really tastes like. I think 8 years is sort of the threshold I have in my mind of like a pretty well-aged whiskey if it's 8 years plus. So looking forward to seeing what their distillate tastes like at sort of a more aged category. All right, everybody, that's my list. That's my list of my top 5 with some honorable mentions, most anticipated bottles of 2023. Would love to hear in the comments below what you're looking for this year and what you're most excited to try to get your hands on. Until I see you guys again for another video, all I can say is keep drinking good whiskey and cheers.